when the day finally settles and the noise of the world begins to thin, there comes a small, quiet moment just for you. Maybe you've carried too much today. Maybe your thoughts are still wandering in circles, reluctant to rest. Or maybe you're simply one of those gentle souls who falls asleep more easily when the universe is speaking softly in the background. However you arrived here, I'm glad you did. You don't have to solve anything now. You don't have to try. Just let yourself breathe a little slower, a little deeper, as if your body is remembering something ancient and familiar. Feel the weight of the bed beneath you. Feel the rise and fall of your own breath. Let your mind loosen its grip, like a hand opening after holding something too tightly. Because tonight, you're not lying in your room. You're floating quietly at the edge of a galaxy. Not just any galaxy, the Milky Way. Your home in the cosmic ocean, a sprawling spiral of stars and dust and invisible matter turning so slowly and so patiently that you could live 100 lifetimes and never sense its motion. And yet, even now, it moves around you like a soft current, carrying you along without asking anything in return. It is a place older than everything you know, older than Earth, older than the sun, older than the patterns of life that eventually produced you. And still, it waits here, luminous and unhurried, ready to share its quiet truths. As you drift closer, imagine the lights of distant stars pulsing gently around you, each one a tiny lantern flickering in the dark. Some burn hot and blue, some warm and gold, some faint and red like embers. Together, they form a wide, glowing river that curves across the night sky. Perhaps you've seen that pale band on a summer night, that soft streak of brightness rising above the horizon. But from within the galaxy itself, it's easy to forget just how enormous it really is. You can only ever see a narrow slice of it, like trying to understand the shape of an ocean while floating inside a single wave. But that's the beauty of drifting here. You don't need to see everything to feel its presence. So let yourself be held by the dark. Let the starlight gather around the edges of your thoughts. And as your breathing grows steadier, imagine the Milky Way's spiral arms spreading out like gentle wings. They turn slowly, almost imperceptibly, woven from billions of suns and clouds of dust that look like smoke drifting through space. These arms are not solid. They're more like patterns, waves of motion, where stars gather and disperse over millions of years. Nothing is still. Nothing is rigid. Everything flows. You're floating at the outer edge of one of these arms, in a quiet nook of the galaxy known as the Orion Spur. It's not one of the grand, sweeping arms you see in diagrams. It's more like a peaceful side street nestled between the brighter avenues of Sagittarius and Perseus. Astronomers think this calmer neighborhood may have been just right for life to flourish. Not too crowded, not too empty, tucked away from the galaxy's more chaotic regions. A quiet room in a busy cosmic house. And somewhere inside that quiet room, orbiting an ordinary star with an ordinary set of planets, is you. A small warmth in a vast, elegant structure that has been turning for more than 13 billion years. You may not feel it, but even now, your entire solar system is sweeping around the galactic center at incredible speed, fast enough to circle the Earth dozens of times in a single minute. And yet, to you, it feels like stillness, a reminder that enormous motion can exist beneath perfect calm. So let yourself sink into that calm. Let it smooth the edges of your thoughts. Let it remind you that rest is not stillness. It is a kind of quiet, drifting, a soft orbit of your own. And as you drift, imagine you are looking down upon the galaxy from far above, as if the lights in the room dimmed and the ceiling dissolved into a swirling field of stars. The Milky Way appears like a luminous pinwheel floating in infinite darkness, each arm glowing faintly like trails of powdered silver. The center shines the brightest, wrapped in a soft haze where starlight blends into starlight. Too many to count, too close to separate. From afar, it looks peaceful. Inside, it is alive, and you are here with it, breathing with it, resting with it. In a moment, we'll begin wandering through its secrets, its collisions, its ancient stars, its hidden structures, its quiet mysteries. But for now, just let this gentle view settle inside you. A slow turning galaxy, a soft river of stars, a home that moves quietly through the dark, carrying you along with it. Whenever you're ready, we'll begin our journey deeper into its story. As you continue drifting through this soft ocean of starlight, a quiet truth begins to unfold beneath you. Something the Milky Way rarely says aloud, yet carries in every strand of light. Our galaxy, as peaceful as it may look tonight, was not born in calmness. It was shaped by encounters, by collisions, by long, slow dances with other galaxies that wandered too close. Galaxies, like people, have histories written not only in what they are, but in everything they've survived. And as you glide along the edge of a spiral arm, you begin to sense the faint gravitational fingerprints of the galaxies the Milky Way has absorbed over billions of years. Even now, there are stars drifting around you that don't truly belong here. They came from other homes, other skies, other small universes of their own. The Milky Way, for all its elegance, is stitched together from the remains of countless smaller galaxies, not destroyed, not erased, but gently unraveled and woven in. Their stars smeared into long, delicate streams that wrap around the disk in glowing arcs. Some of those streams stretch so far that if you could trace them with your hand, you would feel the shape of a ghost galaxy stretched thin across the darkness. One of those galaxies, the Sagittarius dwarf, is being pulled apart right now. It circles below the Milky Way's disk, looping through our outskirts like a small boat caught in the wake of a giant ship. Each orbit, a little more of it dissolves, stars torn free and folded gently into our own halo. If you look closely enough, you can still see its remnants, not as a single shape, but as a whisper, a soft scattering of ancient suns drifting in a looping stream. And then there is Andromeda. High above the horizon, Andromeda looks like nothing more than a faint smudge to the naked eye, a shy glow lost in the dark. But behind that softness lies something immense, another spiral galaxy, nearly as large as our own, drifting slowly toward us. The two galaxies have been approaching one another for billions of years, drawn by mutual gravity in a motion so patient that no human lifetime could ever notice it. Yet the movement is real, inevitable, beautiful in its slowness. In about 4.5 billion years, the Milky Way and Andromeda will meet, not in a fiery explosion, not in chaos or sudden destruction, but in a long, graceful merging that lasts billions of years. You might imagine stars smashing into each other, bright, violent impacts lighting up the sky. But the truth is gentler. Space inside galaxies is so vast and stars are so small that direct collisions will be incredibly rare. Instead, what you will see if you could watch the galaxy's life unfold in time-lapse is the stretching of arms, the bending of orbits, the twisting of shapes. Two spirals pulling one another into elongated arcs, the way dancers lean into each other before a slow turn. Our galaxy will not survive this encounter unchanged, but it will not be lost either. It will become something new, a larger, rounder galaxy scientists call Milkomeda, a blend of both spirals, quiet and radiant in its maturity. The Milky Way carries the memory of many such encounters. Some happened so long ago that their remnants can only be seen in the motion of ancient stars. Others leave trails of torn gas and light, like soft scars across the halo. These mergers weren't sudden events, they were drawn-out conversations, whole galaxies exchanging stars and matter over hundreds of millions of years. When you drift through the halo, the vast, nearly invisible sphere surrounding the disk, you are moving through history. You're gliding through the remains of galaxies that approached ours when the universe was young. Some of their stars travel in long, looping orbits tilted steeply from the disk, like tired travelers circling far above the main roads. Others are scattered across the sky in streams so faint that only careful measurements reveal their presence. The Milky Way wears these remnants like rings of an ancient tree, each stream a memory of something it once met, once consumed, once became. We often think of galaxies as isolated islands, but they're not. They're more like drifting continents, constantly reshaping themselves through encounters and mergers, building larger structures from smaller ones. And somewhere inside this grand, ongoing story, your solar system orbits peacefully, unaware of the cosmic dances that shaped the path it travels today. You ride along in the quiet aftermath of eons of motion, your star tracing its route through a galaxy forged from countless forgotten collisions. As you rest here, floating above the glowing arms, imagine that you're listening to the soft hum of ancient motions, the galaxies that once brushed against ours, the stars caught and carried away, the delicate rearranging of cosmic cities over time. Even galaxies must change. Even galaxies must let go of old shapes to become new ones. And as you drift deeper into this quiet history, you might notice a comforting thought settling over you, that everything, even on the largest scales, transforms slowly, gracefully, inevitably. Nothing remains as it was, not because it breaks, but because it grows. When you're ready, we'll continue drifting into the next chapter, where we'll meet the ancient stars that shine with stories older than the Milky Way itself. As you drift deeper into the soft glow of the Milky Way, a quiet realization settles over you. Not every star around you was born in this galaxy. Some of them are far older than the spiral arms, older than the bar at the center, older even than the shape we now call the Milky Way. They shine with a kind of fragile wisdom, as if they've been carrying stories from a time before galaxies had names, before gravity had finished writing its earlier sentences. Imagine one of these stars now, small, faint, a gentle red glow, barely whispering against the darkness. This is a halo star, one of the ancient wanderers that drifts far above and far below the Milky Way's disk. While younger stars live in bright clusters and swirling arms, these elders follow long, tilted orbits, looping through space like lanterns carried on slow, wandering currents. Their light is quiet, but it tells a powerful story. You see, these stars formed when the universe was still young and uncertain, when the first metals had barely begun to exist. The early cosmos held almost nothing but hydrogen and helium, the simplest ingredients. Only after the first generation of stars lived and died did heavier elements begin to appear: carbon, oxygen, calcium, iron. But these ancient halo stars, they have almost none of that. They are nearly pure, untouched relics from a time before the Milky Way was fully born. Astronomers call them asterisk, metal-poor stars, asterisk. But that phrase feels too clinical. In truth, they are fossils made of light. Their atmospheres still carry the chemical signatures of the early universe. By studying them, scientists can read history the way archaeologists read patterns in stone tools or faded pottery. Each element, each ratio, each faint spectral line is a clue, a message from the universe's childhood, preserved for more than 13 billion years. Some of these stars weren't even formed inside the Milky Way. They arrived here long ago, carried inside small primordial galaxies that were slowly pulled apart and folded into our own. When you look at them, you're not just seeing a star. You're seeing a guest, a traveler from another world, another era. If you listen closely, their orbits tell stories too. Unlike the organized motion of younger stars in the disk, these ancient suns move on, strange pathways, stretched ellipses, tilted planes, wide loops that carry them far from the galactic center. Their movements are like echoes of the galaxies they once belonged to, long dissolved but still remembered in the slow choreography of their stars. As you float beside one of these elders, imagine the universe as it was when this star was young. There were no spiral arms yet, no planets circling quietly as winds brushed over oceans, no Milky Way bulge glowing in the distance, just scattered clouds of hydrogen falling into the first gravitational wells, forming the earliest galaxies, messy, clumpy structures that would one day merge together to create something bigger. This star saw those times. It remembers. Its light traveled billions of years before reaching Earth. It crossed eras where the cosmic web thickened, where dark matter gathered the first clusters, where galaxies collided and reshaped one another. And yet through all that time, it has continued burning, patiently, softly, without urgency. There is something comforting in that, a reminder that age does not mean stillness, and that history continues to move quietly through us, even when we feel small. You might wonder, what makes these ancient stars so important? The truth is gentle and profound. They are our window into the universe before the Milky Way existed. They show us how stars formed when the cosmos was raw and simple. They reveal the ingredients from which everything else was eventually built, including you. Because the iron in your blood was forged inside a star much younger than these elders. The oxygen in your lungs was shaped in generations of stellar lives that followed. But these ancient stars, they come from a time before those elements existed, before the universe had learned the full vocabulary of chemistry. As you drift with them now, imagine that you're holding a thread that stretches back almost to the beginning of time. A thread woven from faint red light, from silence, from the patience of billions of years. Soon, we'll follow another thread, one that traces the path of our solar system as it races around the galaxy, completing orbits so vast that entire ages of Earth unfold within a single loop. But for now, stay here a moment longer, beside these quiet elders. Let their age settle gently over your thoughts. Let their stories soften the edges of your day. As you continue drifting beside these ancient stars, the quietness around you begins to shift. A gentle awareness rises, not loud, not sudden, just a soft realization. You are moving. Even here, where everything feels still, the universe is never truly at rest. Not the galaxies, not the stars, not the quiet little system you call home. Your solar system, the sun, the planets, the moons, the comets, the drifting clouds of dust, is not stationary. It is sailing through the Milky Way like a small boat caught in a grand, invisible current. You may not feel the motion, but right now, as you breathe in and breathe out, your entire cosmic neighborhood is sweeping around the center of the galaxy at incredible speed, about 230 kilometers every second, faster than a bullet, faster than anything you've ever seen, fast enough to circle the Earth more than 30 times in a single minute. And yet, it feels like nothing at all. Your body is quiet, your room is still, the air hasn't changed. This is the gentleness of cosmic motion, enormous speed wrapped in perfect calm. Our path around the Milky Way is not a short one. It is a journey so long, so wide, so vast, that it takes about 225 to 250 million Earth years to complete a single orbit. This grand cycle is called a galactic year, a year measured, not in days or seasons or birthdays, but in slow rotations of the galaxy itself. Since the sun first lit up 4.6 billion years ago, our solar system has only traveled around the Milky Way about 20 times. That means the last time we were in this exact region of the galaxy, the supercontinent Pangaea had only just begun to break apart. The first dinosaurs had not yet appeared. The world was still young in its own story. And one galactic year before that, the Earth was recovering from the greatest extinction event in its history, long before mammals, before flowers, before birds sang in forests that had yet to exist. Every time our solar system makes another loop, Earth changes, continents drift, oceans rise and fall, Species bloom and vanish. Entire landscapes reshape themselves while the galaxy watches quietly. And yet, for all this motion, the sun holds on to you gently. Its gravity keeps Earth circling in a small, warm orbit, shielded from the chaos of the wider galaxy. Together, you and every creature who ever lived have drifted through arms of starlight, past swirling clouds of dust, above glowing regions of starbirth, all without ever feeling the pull of that immense journey. If you could step outside the galaxy for a moment and watch the Milky Way as if it were a spinning pinwheel of light, you would see your solar system tracing a delicate curve around the center, a thin glowing thread moving along the edge of an arm, slowly, patiently, faithfully. And yet that thread is not straight. It ripples. As the solar system orbits the center, it also bobs gently up and down through the galactic plane, like a leaf drifting on a slow-moving river, rising above the surface, sinking below it, rising again. This quiet wave takes tens of millions of years to complete. Some scientists wonder if this vertical oscillation might influence cycles of life on Earth, though nothing is certain. What we do know is simpler and softer. Even in its path around the galaxy, the sun does not glide in a perfect line. It sways, and maybe there's something comforting in that. A reminder that even the grandest motions contain a touch of wandering, a hint of drift, a softness you can almost feel if you listen deeply enough. As you float here beside the sun's invisible trail, imagine the galaxy as a great, dark ocean. The stars are islands, the spiral arms are currents, and your solar system is a small, steady boat carrying you around and around, silently, tirelessly, through the vastness. You were born into this motion. Every atom of your body has been pulled along this slow orbit since before the Earth even existed. Your ancestors, the humans, the animals, the ancient shapes of life, all drifted along this same path. And long after you fall asleep tonight, long after your dreams settle into their own quiet rhythms, the galaxy will continue moving beneath you, gently, endlessly, without asking anything from you at all. Soon, we'll drift into the next chapter, a place where the Milky Way's growth continues, where streams of gas and entire galaxies feed its evolution. But for now, let yourself rest in this motion, a soft orbit in a quiet spiral, a journey older than time as you know it. As you continue drifting through the quiet sweep of the galaxy's orbit, another gentle truth begins to rise around you. One that feels almost surprising, considering how ancient the Milky Way is. It isn't finished. Even after more than 13 billion years, the Milky Way is still growing, still gathering, still reshaping itself in ways so slow and subtle that no human lifetime could ever notice them. From your vantage here among the stars, the galaxy doesn't look alive, not in the way we think of living things, and yet it behaves like something still becoming itself. If you listen closely enough, you can almost hear it breathing. Stars drift through its arms like sparks carried on a breeze. Clouds of gas move in long, stretching streams. Invisible rivers of dark matter pull silently at everything within reach. And woven through all of this are currents, faint, delicate flows of material falling into the galaxy from the vastness beyond. The Milky Way grows in whispers. Some of that growth comes from the slow infall of gas from the intergalactic medium, a thin, nearly weightless mist that drifts between galaxies. It is the quietest kind of nourishment, like dew forming on grass just before dawn. These clouds slip inward, cooling and gathering, eventually joining the thick disk where they may one day become new stars. Other growth comes from encounters, small galaxies wandering too close, caught by the Milky Way's pull. Over time, these dwarfs stretch and unravel, their stars smeared into long streams across the sky. You passed some of them earlier, glowing faintly like gentle scars. With each one absorbed, the Milky Way becomes a little larger, a little richer in story and structure. Sometimes the process is peaceful, almost invisible. A cloud drifts inward, a handful of stars settle into a new orbit, a faint ribbon of starlight joins the halo. Other times, it is disruptive gravitational tides tearing apart an entire companion galaxy over hundreds of millions of years. Not violent in a sudden way, but drastically transformative, like cliffs eroded by water, slowly reshaped until the landscape is indistinguishable from what it once was. The Milky Way has grown this way for eons, and it will continue long after you fall asleep tonight. Yet its growth is not only outward. Inside the galaxy, change is always unfolding. Gas flows along the spiral arms, compressed into new stars that ignite and warm the surrounding darkness. Old stars swell, shed their layers, and return their material to space, enriching the galaxy with heavier elements. Supernova explosions, though rare and distant, scatter carbon, oxygen, and iron across light years, creating the raw ingredients for future worlds. Even the structures of the galaxy shift over time. The spiral arms slowly change shape. The bar at the center lengthens. The warp in the disk deepens or relaxes. The halo grows more complex as new streams are added to its faint, drifting web. It's easy to imagine galaxies as permanent things, fixed, stable, unchanging. But the truth is gentler and far more beautiful. Galaxies are always in motion, always evolving, always listening to the soft instructions of gravity as it rearranges their stars. As you float above the glowing spiral now, imagine watching the Milky Way in time-lapse, not just for years, or centuries, or civilizations, but for hundreds of millions of years. Watch as spiral arms tighten and loosen. See how clouds collapse into newborn stars and then fade into dust again. Follow the faint arc of a captured galaxy as it wraps around the disk. Observe how the central regions pulse with the slow rhythms of gas flowing inward. The Milky Way is not a static masterpiece. It is a living tapestry woven over billions of years. Even the region of the galaxy where Earth lives, the Orion Spur, is not fixed. Our quiet neighborhood shifts gradually, tugged by the gravity of nearby arms, pulled along by the rotation of the disk, slightly reshaped by the movement of gas and the scattering of stars within it. And above us, beyond the disk, the halo continues to collect debris from past encounters, holding on to ancient streams like threads in an unfinished web. Out there in the darkness, the ghosts of long-lost galaxies drift silently, folded into the Milky Way's memory. If you close your eyes for a moment, imagine the galaxy as a great, slow-growing structure, not alive in the way we understand life, but still possessing its own rhythms, its own unfolding. It grows not in leaps, but in size, not in bursts, but in murmurs, not in noise, but in the quiet pull of gravity shaping everything over unimaginable time. And somehow, within all of this, you exist, a small warmth drifting inside a vast structure that is still becoming what it will one day be. Soon, we'll drift toward the next chapter, where we begin exploring the galaxy's structure, the spiral arms, the shapes, the warp, the hidden architecture beneath its beauty. But for now, let yourself rest in this simple truth. The Milky Way is ancient, but it is not done growing, and neither are you. The deeper you drift into the Milky Way's quiet glow, the more its structure begins to reveal itself, not all at once, but in slow, widening shapes, like a lantern gradually illuminating the inside of a vast, spiraling cathedral. Most of us imagine galaxies as neat, perfect pinwheels, soft spirals, even arms, smooth curves. But the Milky Way is not a tidy drawing. It is a living structure full of asymmetry, subtle warps, hidden layers, and patterns so large that the human mind can only hold them by relaxing into them. And so tonight, you drift gently through its design, not to memorize it, but to feel its architecture unfolding around you. If you look down, you're floating above the thin, luminous disk, the part of the galaxy where most of the stars live. This is the region we know best, because it is where the Sun and Earth quietly travel. It stretches outward like a soft, glowing ribbon, only a few hundred light-years thick, compared to its diameter of more than 100,000. This thin disk is the Milky Way's brightest face, the glittering sheet we trace across the night sky. But it is only one layer of a more intricate shape. Above and below that thin, starry plane lies another structure, puffier and older, the thick disk. Here, the stars burn with a different kind of light, dimmer, redder, lower in heavy elements. They drift in wider orbits, rising above and sinking below the main plane, like tired travelers who remember a time before the galaxy settled into its spiral form. These two disks, thin and thick, are like pages in a very old book. One is fresh, filled with new stars and luminous gas. The other is weathered, holding stories from long ago. Together, they form the layered heart of the Milky Way's structure. And yet even this isn't the full picture. If you look farther outward, you'll notice something unexpected. The Milky Way does not lie flat. The disk bends upward on one side and downward on the other, forming a slow, graceful wave as though the galaxy were a spinning sheet of silk caught in a gentle breeze. This warp was invisible to human telescopes for centuries, hidden by dust and distance. Only when radio waves revealed the shape of hydrogen gas did the true curvature appear. Perhaps the gravity of passing dwarf galaxies pulled at the edges. Perhaps dark matter clumps distorted the structure. Or perhaps the galaxy is simply responding to ancient interactions that have not yet settled. Whatever the cause, the warp reminds us of something easy to forget. The Milky Way is not rigid. It bends, it flexes, it sways as it spins. As you drift a little closer to the center, another shape emerges, the central bar. This is a long, glowing bridge of stars stretching across the heart of the galaxy, connecting one side of the spiral to the other. Not a circle, not a sphere, but a bar, a quiet backbone of light. This structure rotates slowly, like a stirring spoon in a cosmic bowl, guiding the flow of gas and shaping the inner spiral arms. The bar funnels material inward, feeding the central regions and influencing the orbits of stars across thousands of light years. And in the very center, hidden behind dark curtains of dust, lies the bulge, but not the round bulge one might expect. It is peanut-shaped, a three-dimensional hourglass sculpted by billions of orbits weaving together over time. Seen edge-on, the bulge curves outward in the middle and pinches at the ends, a shape born from the bar's slow dance and the galaxy's long history of motion. It glows with older stars, thicker clouds, and the gravity of an ancient core. And above all this, far beyond the bar, the disks, the warp, and the thin glowing rings, stretches the halo. The halo is vast, sparse, almost invisible. It surrounds the galaxy like a faint, shimmering cloud, populated with ancient stars, globular clusters, and enormous quantities of dark matter. It extends far beyond the spiral arms, farther than the eye can reach, deeper than the brightest telescopes can fully map. This halo is not empty. It is the Milky Way's memory, holding the remains of galaxies long since absorbed, the slow arcs of tidal streams, and some of the oldest stars ever born. As you drift through this structure now, from disk to bulge to halo, a quiet realization settles over you. The Milky Way is not a simple spiral. It is a layered, shifting architecture, sculpted by time, a warped disk, a glowing bar, a peanut-shaped core, a halo full of ancient ghosts. And through all of it, gravity draws its invisible lines, shaping, bending, teaching the galaxy how to hold its form. In the next chapter, we'll slip gently into the hidden motions inside this structure, how stars orbit, how arms form, how the galaxy organizes its rhythm across millions of years. But for now, rest in the shape of it. A structure large enough to contain billions of worlds and soft enough to cradle your thoughts as they drift towards sleep. As you remain suspended in the quiet glow of the Milky Way's structure, a gentle truth ripples through the space around you. Nothing here is still. The galaxy may look serene from afar, but inside its spiraling arms, every star, cloud, and grain of dust is moving, weaving through invisible currents that have been flowing for billions of years. Even the silence here has motion. If you listen closely, you can almost sense it. A soft hum beneath everything, like a tide without water, a breeze without air. The first motion you feel is the spin of the galaxy itself, a slow, majestic rotation of over 100 billion stars sweeping around the core. But this rotation is not what you might expect. Stars near the center and stars near the outskirts move at nearly the same speed. This strange, unified rotation puzzled astronomers for decades until they realized something profound. Most of the galaxy's mass is invisible. Dark matter, silent, unseen, yet overwhelmingly present, surrounds the Milky Way in a vast halo, tugging at every star, sculpting each orbit, and holding the galaxy together. Without it, everything you see would simply drift apart into space. And so the stars move not just through space, but through the influence of something we cannot see, something that shapes the rhythm of the entire galaxy. As you glide closer to the spiral arms, their true nature becomes clearer. These glowing curves aren't solid structures. They aren't chains of stars locked in place. They are patterns, gentle, rotating waves of density that drift through the disk like ripples on a cosmic pond. As a wave passes by, stars slow slightly, compress, and glow more brightly. New stars ignite in the densest parts of these waves, lighting the spiral arms in soft blue clusters. Then the stars drift forward again, leaving the wave behind. The arms are motion, not shape, a slow-moving traffic jam of starlight, a rhythm the galaxy has kept for billions of years. Even your own sun is part of that rhythm. It drifts in and out of spiral arms over millions of years, riding the gentle difference in speed between the stars and the density waves. Right now, the sun sits in a quiet spur between major arms, a peaceful place, far from the storms of radiation and supernova that cluster in denser regions. This calm may be one of the many reasons life had time to unfold on Earth, a motion that protects as much as it reveals. As you float deeper into the disk, new motions appear more subtle, more layered. Stars sway above and below the plane of the galaxy, bobbing like boats on a slow cosmic tide. This vertical oscillation is caused by the uneven pull of mass in the Milky Way, a gentle up and down drift that spans tens of millions of years. The sun participates in this sway too, rising and falling through the disk like a cork carried by a tranquil sea. And beyond that, even more complex motions unfold. Some stars move in elongated orbits, stretching far above the halo and diving back toward the disk. Others tilt at odd angles, relics of ancient mergers that still echo in their paths. A few stars even orbit backward, moving against the overall flow of the galaxy, quiet reminders that not everything here was born in the same place. Motion, in the Milky Way, is memory. It carries the imprint of everything the galaxy has ever encountered. Then there are the fast ones, the hypervelocity stars, flung outward at unimaginable speeds by encounters near the central black hole or by the sudden breakup of binary systems. These stars don't just orbit, they flee, 1,000,000 kilometers per hour, a journey with no return, a silent departure into intergalactic night. Their motion tells a different story. Even in a galaxy bound by gravity, there are moments of release. And woven through all of this, these spirals, waves, oscillations, and departures, there is the motion of the interstellar medium itself. Gas clouds drift, collide, cool, and collapse. Shock waves ripple outward from ancient supernova, Dust flows along magnetic field lines, curving and twisting like smoke frozen in slow motion. This is the galaxy's weather, invisible, sprawling, and always in motion. If you step back a little, letting all these movements blur together, the Milky Way becomes something else entirely. A single, vast choreography, a dance of a trillion motions layered on top of each other, every star and cloud following the quiet pull of gravity. The galaxy does not only rotate, it breathes, it pulses, it drifts, it remembers. In the next chapter, you'll drift into these memories, exploring the long story of how the Milky Way was built piece by piece, merger by merger, from the ruins of smaller galaxies. But for now, just rest in this slow unfolding, a galaxy that is never still, a rhythm older than Earth, whispering its motion beneath the quiet. As the quiet motions of the Milky Way drift beneath you, another kind of movement slowly rises into view, not the motion of stars today, but the ghostly echoes of stars long gone. Because a galaxy is not only what it is also everything it has ever absorbed. And the Milky Way has absorbed a great many things. If you listen closely here, at the edge of the halo, you can almost hear the past, not in sound, but in long, curling streams of starlight that wrap around the disk like the leftover threads of old fabric. These faint ribbons were once entire galaxies, soft and small, drifting peacefully through space until they wandered too close to the Milky Way. Gravity greeted them gently at first. A tug, a stretch, a slow unraveling. Over millions of years, their stars were pulled into long arcs, tidal streams that now circle the galaxy in quiet loops. Some of these arcs are thin as whispers, others stretch across half the sky. Every one of them is a memory, a record of a collision that happened too slowly for any one star to notice. The Milky Way is built from these memories. In its earliest days, the galaxy was smaller, looser, more fragile. It grew not through peaceful expansion, but through the steady gathering of wandering dwarfs, primordial galaxies drawn toward its gravity, like lanterns approaching a fire. Some merged directly, sinking into the core. Others were stretched, shredded, and scattered into the halo. You're floating inside a structure made of ruins. Some of the stars you see now, especially the old, metal-poor ones, were not born here at all. They come from ancient galaxies older than the Milky Way itself, their light carrying chemistry from a universe still learning how to make heavy elements. They drift in long, tilted orbits that ignore the patterns of the disk. They are the elders of the galaxy, quiet, sparse, carrying the first stories ever written in starlight. Deeper inside, closer to the disk, you feel the remnants of another great collision, the Gaia Enceladus event, a merger so large that it reshaped the early Milky Way. Its stars still move differently, like dancers from a different culture keeping their own rhythm. Some tilt high above the plane, others pass through the disk in steep, arcing paths. It is cosmic archaeology, the galaxy remembering what built it. Even now, the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy is being slowly consumed. Its stars peel away, one by one, wrapping around the Milky Way like a dissolving ribbon. New streams appear in the halo every time a bit of it falls. Another reminder, the galaxy is still building itself from what drifts too close. And then there is the largest future memory, Andromeda, drifting toward us in a silent approach. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday, 4 billion years from now, the Milky Way will meet a companion equal in size and brightness. Two spirals folding into each other, merging like slow-motion waves. Most stars will never collide, but the shapes of both galaxies will change forever. If you close your eyes for a moment, imagine watching this future from afar. Two glowing disks stretching into long strands, their halos mixing, their cores spiraling together. eventually forming something new, something larger, something quieter. Galaxies grow through encounters, through disruption, through the patient reorganization of chaos. Even the strange warp in the Milky Way's disk may come from a recent arrival, the large and small Magellanic Clouds, swirling close enough to tug on our edges, to disturb our symmetry, to rewrite the shape of our outskirts. They may not be ancient companions at all, but new guests pulling the galaxy into a slight tilt. Every structure you've drifted past the bar, the bulge, the streams, the halo carries the fingerprints of these long interactions. Nothing here is pristine. Nothing here is untouched. The Milky Way is a mosaic stitched from many smaller galaxies, a layered memory of a universe learning how to shape itself, a structure built from generosity, taking in what arrives and weaving it into something larger. And you are floating inside that history, inside the quiet remains of 1,000 cosmic stories, slowly blended into one. In the next chapter, you'll drift deeper into the starry fog itself, the interstellar medium, and explore how gas, dust, and invisible forces shape the galaxy from within. But before you move on, take one slow breath and let this truth settle gently. The Milky Way is not simply a galaxy. It is an inheritance, a long, luminous record of everything it has embraced. As you leave behind the faint tidal streams of ancient galaxies, the space around you begins to feel different, softer, more textured, less empty, because now you are entering one of the most misunderstood regions of the Milky Way, the interstellar medium, a place that sounds like a void, but is anything but. Between the stars lies more than darkness. There are clouds, filaments, bubbles, winds, particles, and invisible currents woven together into a delicate, shifting fabric. It is thin, astonishingly thin, but vast beyond measure, and it shapes everything. If you pause here for a moment and let your attention soften, you can almost sense the layers unfolding around you. The first thing you notice is the gas hydrogen, mostly drifting through space in long, understated streams. Sometimes this gas is warm and diffuse, spread over hundreds of light years like a cosmic haze. Other times it is cold and dense, gathering into clouds so thick they block the starlight behind them, appearing as deep shadows against the glowing plane. These cold molecular clouds are the wombs of the galaxy, silent, frigid nurseries where gravity waits for the right moment to begin drawing material inward. Over millions of years, these clouds collapse in slow, quiet spirals, until eventually a star or many stars flickers into existence. Inside those clouds, before any light emerges, the galaxy is already changing. But the interstellar medium is not all calm. Elsewhere, enormous cavities have been carved out by long-ago explosions. Supernovae, the final breath of massive stars, send shockwaves racing outward, sweeping the surrounding gas into vast shells that continue expanding for thousands of years. These shells collide, merge, and stretch into irregular forms, creating what astronomers call superbubbles. Seen from within, they feel like great hollow chambers in the galaxy's breath, faint, echoing spaces left behind by the lives and deaths of stars. Sometimes several superbubbles join together and break open the disk entirely, forming chimneys that vent hot gas upward into the halo. Through these tall, invisible corridors, matter and energy spill outward from the disk in long, drifting currents. Eventually, after cooling, some of it falls back down in gentle rains, returning to the plane like droplets in a slow cosmic fountain. The Milky Way breathes through these openings, inhales through collapsing clouds, exhales through chimneys of light and heat. And through this breath, the galaxy recycles itself. Dust, too, moves through this medium tiny grains of carbon, silicates, ices, the same material that once floated through the atmospheres of dying stars. These grains drift for vast spans of time, absorbing light, scattering it, shaping the faint glow of nebulae. They gather into clumps spread into filaments, and align with magnetic fields that thread through the galaxy like invisible strands. Sometimes the dust glimmers softly under starlight. Other times it hides everything behind it, clouds so opaque that even nearby stars vanish. But even in that darkness, the seeds of future worlds are waiting. Here and there, cosmic rays streak through the medium, particles traveling near the speed of light, born from violent places. Supernova remnants, black hole jets, or distant galaxies. You cannot see them, but they pass through you constantly. Tiny messengers carrying the energy of ancient explosions. Harmless, fleeting, but real. The interstellar medium might look empty, but it is the quiet engine beneath everything. It stirs when stars are born. It expands when stars die. It collapses under gravity. It glows under radiation. It reshapes the pathways of cosmic rays, dust, grains, and even the orbits of gas flows deep in the disk. From a distance, galaxies look crisp and clean, spirals, bars, bulges, halos. But up close, as you drift through this fog of hydrogen, helium, dust, and magnetic lines, you begin to understand. A galaxy is not a rigid structure. It is a fluid one, a giant, slow-motion ocean. The turbulence here moves over thousands of years. The waves span tens of light years. The currents form patterns that may last millions of years before dissolving into new ones. The interstellar medium is the galaxy's canvas, always being painted over, always holding the memory of what came before. And as you float through this gentle haze now, a quiet truth settles over you. Between the stars lies possibility. Between the clouds lies potential. Between the silence lies the beginning of the next generation of light. In the next chapter, you'll drift towards something even more mysterious. The unseen forces shaping the galaxy. Dark matter halos, magnetic fields, and the delicate gravitational web that holds everything in place. But for now, let yourself rest in this soft fog, knowing you're gliding through the quiet substance of the Milky Way's dreams. As you drift beyond the delicate filaments of dust and the cool shadows of molecular clouds, something begins to change. The stars thin out, the gas grows faint, the structures you can see soften into a gentle darkness. And yet, strangely, the galaxy doesn't feel empty. If anything, it feels more present, because now you are entering the realm of things the eye cannot see. Forces that shape the Milky Way from beneath its luminous surface. Forces that have no color, no glow, no sound. Forces that move everything. The first of these invisible sculptors is gravity. Not the gravity of planets or stars, but the quiet, large-scale gravity of the entire galactic system. A soft but persistent pull that arranges billions of orbits, organizes spiral arms, guides the fall of gas, and holds the galaxy in its slow spinning shape. Every star you've passed so far is following a path written by gravity, a path that curves gently through space like a signature older than Earth itself. But gravity is not acting alone. Surrounding the Milky Way like a vast, unseen shell is something even more mysterious. The dark matter halo. Dark matter does not glow. It does not absorb or reflect. You cannot feel it, touch it, or see it in any wavelength of light. And yet, it outweighs every visible star, every gas cloud, every dust particle in the galaxy, many times over. It is dark matter that keeps the outer stars from flying away. It is dark matter that shapes the rotation curve, making distant stars orbit almost as fast as those near the center. It is dark matter that gives the Milky Way the gravitational weight needed to bind dwarf galaxies, tidal streams, and ancient remnants to its halo. If you close your eyes, you might imagine dark matter as a vast, invisible web, not rigid, not solid, but softly holding the galaxy together like the memory of a shape. Without it, the Milky Way would not exist in the form you see today. And woven through this hidden mass is another force, subtle, intricate, and everywhere: the galaxy's magnetic field. It stretches across the disk. It rises into the halo. It winds through the interstellar medium like delicate threads of tension. You cannot feel magnetic fields directly, but the galaxy can. Dust grains align with them. Cosmic rays follow their curves. Gas clouds twist into shapes sculpted by their pull. Sometimes, these fields form wide arcs above the plane, curved pathways that guide the flow of particles. Other times they loop and knot, forming structures whose patterns only radio telescopes can reveal. They influence how stars are born, how matter flows, and even how the galaxy breathes through its fountains and chimneys. They are the unseen architecture beneath the visible galaxy, a quiet scaffolding of direction and resistance. And then there are the gravitational shadows of past collisions, long, faint distortions in the orbits of stars, relics of galaxies absorbed long ago. These disturbances ripple through the halo like aftershocks, changing the shape of the disk, tilting orbits, warping the outskirts in ways that may take billions of years to settle. Even time itself leaves marks in the galaxy's structure. To drift here is to understand something profound. Most of what shapes the Milky Way is invisible. Light shows you only the surface, the bright skin of a system woven from forces that do not shine. But beneath that skin lies an orchestra of interactions. Dark matter sculpting motion, magnetic fields shaping dust, gravity binding millions of stars, and tidal memories stretching across the halo. The galaxy glows, yes, but it is held together by darkness. Slowly, gently, these invisible forces work together to form the Milky Way's architecture. They guide where stars cluster and where they thin out. They influence how spiral arms form and dissolve. They create filaments, waves, rings, and ripples that you could only see if you knew where to look. And as you float here among them, the darkness doesn't feel empty at all. It feels full of shape, full of structure, full of quiet purpose. It feels like the deep breath the galaxy takes beneath its luminous surface, unseen, unfelt, but essential. Soon, you'll drift into yet another layer of the Milky Way's story. The birth and death of stars themselves, the fiery cycle that populates the galaxy with light. But for now, let this invisible realm settle around you, a reminder that what you cannot see often guides everything that you can. As you rise gently out of the galaxy's invisible web of forces, a soft shimmer begins to return to your view. Not a single light, but millions. A quiet snowfall of starlight spread across the disk. You are entering a region where the Milky Way is most alive, where stars are born, where they shine, where they age, and where they give themselves back to the galaxy. Nothing in the Milky Way is more familiar to human eyes than a star, and nothing is more fleeting when seen on cosmic timescales. Here, among these drifting lights, you begin to understand the galaxy not as a structure, but as a cycle, a renewing breath of creation and transformation. The cycle begins in darkness. Deep inside cold molecular clouds, far from any bright illumination, gravity waits. These clouds are colder than anything on Earth, chilled to just a few degrees above absolute zero. Inside them, tiny pockets of density form knots where atoms gather, where gas thickens, where a seed of collapse begins. These knots deepen over thousands of years, then millions, then tens of millions. Slowly, the core heats as gravity compresses it. A disk forms. Material spirals inward, and then, almost like a hidden match struck in the dark, fusion ignites. A star is born. Its first light pushes away the remnants of its cradle, revealing glowing clouds sculpted by radiation and stellar winds. Massive newborn stars burn bright blue, illuminating the gases that gave them life. Smaller stars emerge more quietly, warming their surroundings with gentle light. The spiral arms glitter with these nurseries, each one a cosmic cradle, a place where the galaxy renews itself in a burst of radiance. But not all stars follow the same path. Some live fast, burn fiercely, and end violently. Others drift quietly through billions of years before fading like cooling embers. Here, as you drift among them, you notice the variety. Giant stars, swollen and luminous, shedding their outer layers in glowing waves. Young stars, still wrapped in disks of dust that may one day form planets. Old stars, faint and red, slowly releasing the last of their strength. And some stars no longer shine at all. White dwarfs, the quiet remains of sun-like stars, glow with a steady, fading warmth. These stellar cores will cool for trillions of years, long after the galaxy itself has changed beyond recognition. Neutron stars, dense, precise, pulsing, send out beams of radiation like cosmic lighthouses, rotating hundreds of times per second. Black holes, silent and invisible, mark the graves of the most massive stars. You feel their gravity more than you sense their presence, a gentle tug as you pass. Every one of these remnants tells a story, because every star returns something when it dies. Stars far larger than the sun collapse in spectacular supernova explosions, sending shockwaves racing outward and enriching the galaxy with heavy elements, iron, gold, oxygen, carbon, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen in your next breath, all forged long ago in stars that lived and died before the sun was born. Smaller stars end more gracefully. They shed their outer layers into space, forming planetary nebulae, delicate shells of color expanding slowly, glowing softly in the starlight. These shells mix into the interstellar medium, becoming material for the next generation of stars and planets. Here, as you watch one drift outward like a floating lantern, you understand something profound. The galaxy is not made of stars, it is made of their stories. Birth, shine, unraveling, return, a cycle repeated billions of times, creating everything the Milky Way contains. You drift beside a cluster where stars are still young, glowing, bright, full of promise. Then past another cluster dissolving into the surrounding disk, its stars no longer bound, drifting outward on their long orbital paths. Clusters rarely last forever. Gravity unravels them slowly, letting their stars scatter into the wider galaxy. Perhaps even the sun began its life in such a place, surrounded by hundreds of siblings now scattered across light years. Somewhere out there, those siblings still shine, soft, distant echoes of the sun's forgotten childhood. Here, among these starfields, the Milky Way feels less like a grand cosmic structure and more like a breathing organism, taking in gas, exhaling starlight, and renewing itself through cycles longer than any species, any world, any civilization. In the next chapter, you'll drift farther outward, exploring the edges of the Milky Way, the halo, the roaming wanderers, the solitary planets and stars that drift between galaxies. But for now, rest here in this sea of light, a place where beginnings and endings blur, where stars teach the galaxy how to shine. As you leave behind the warm glow of newborn stars and the quiet embers of dying ones, the Milky Way begins to thin around you. The light grows softer. The crowd of stars loosens. Far from the busy spiral arms, a new kind of space stretches outward, wide, dim, and full of subtle mysteries. You are drifting into the halo. The halo isn't bright or crowded. It doesn't swirl in spirals or shimmer like the galactic plane. Instead, it feels like stepping from a bustling city into an ancient, open desert, quiet, expansive, and timeless. The first thing you notice is the stillness. Not the absence of motion, but the absence of hurry. Stars here move on long, slow orbits that take billions of years to complete. Some rise far above the disk before looping back down, tracing shapes that ignore the flat plane of the galaxy entirely. These stars are older, poorer in heavy elements, and often foreign immigrants from galaxies the Milky Way consumed long ago. Their orbits carry memory, each path a clue to something the galaxy once absorbed. You pass one of these ancient wanderers now, dim, red, older than the disk itself. It drifts through the halo like a lantern from a forgotten era, carrying chemistry from a time when the universe was barely learning how to make stars. All around it, faint traces of past collisions float like the tattered edges of old maps. Stellar streams, thin and ghost-like, curving across the darkness. These streams are the remnants of dwarf galaxies torn apart by the Milky Way's gravity, stretched into rivers of starlight. Each stream is a story half erased by time, a whisper of something that once was whole. And then you see them, the globular clusters, great, glowing spheres of tightly packed stars, some older than the galaxy itself. They orbit like quiet satellites in the halo, each one containing hundreds of thousands of ancient suns. From nearby, they shine like suspended cities, luminous and perfectly round, held together by gravity's steady hand. In the halo, these clusters drift slowly, untouched by the turbulence of the disk. They are the time capsules of the Milky Way, preserving the chemistry, structure, and rhythms of the early universe. Pause here for a moment and look closely. Those stars, their light began its journey before Earth formed, before the sun existed, before the solar system had dust to gather. They are the elders of the galaxy. But not everything in the halo is old. Here you also find the wanderers' rogue stars, racing through the outskirts after being flung from the galactic center. Their speeds astonishing, their futures lonely. These are the ones who escaped gravitational chaos near the central black hole, shot outward like cosmic arrows. Some will leave the galaxy entirely. Some will drift in cold solitude for the rest of cosmic time. Rogue planets roam here too, worlds without suns, traveling through darkness with no sunrise, no orbit, no sky. Cold, silent, drifting between the stars like forgotten seeds. And farther still, at the very edge of the halo, matter grows thin and dark matter grows dominant. The shape of the Milky Way becomes hard to define, not because it ends suddenly, but because it fades into the cosmic background, blending into the intergalactic medium. The edge of the galaxy is less a boundary and more a breath, a gentle thinning of starlight, a slow surrender to the wider universe. If you look back now, the Milky Way no longer appears as a place you're inside, but as a structure, a glowing disk surrounded by a faint sphere. The spiral arms curl like luminous limbs. The bar crosses the center. The halo forms a shimmering cocoon of memory around it all. And yet, even from here, the galaxy feels soft, inviting, alive, because the outskirts are not emptiness. They are the galaxy's quiet margins, places where ancient stars drift, where remnants gather, where the past lingers and the future waits in silence. The halo is not the galaxy's edge. It is its envelope, its memory, its soft, extended breath. In the next chapter, you'll look not at structure or motion, but at connection, how the Milky Way fits within the larger cosmic neighborhood, the local group, and the grand web of galaxies beyond. But for now, let yourself float here in the outskirts, where light thins gently into dark, and the galaxy begins to loosen its hold. As you drift at the quiet edge of the halo, something subtle begins to change. The Milky Way, once enormous and all-surrounding, now looks smaller, not in size, but in context. You begin to sense a wider landscape, a larger arrangement of cosmic shapes gently holding one another in place. The galaxy is not alone here. Beyond the faint outer stars, beyond the soft halo of dark matter, other lights appear. Not stars, but galaxies. The nearest is Andromeda, a dim, hazy smear of light stretching quietly across the darkness. From this distance, it looks peaceful, almost delicate, hiding the truth of its immense scale. Like the Milky Way, it is a giant, a spiral of countless suns drifting through space, with its own halo, its own stellar streams, its own ancient memories. You can almost feel the subtle pull between the two galaxies, a gravitational thread drawing them closer over billions of years. Slow, patient, inevitable. Farther out, you begin to see the dwarf small, faint galaxies that orbit the Milky Way like distant companions. The large Magellanic Cloud, bright and irregular, glows with bursts of new stars. The small Magellanic Cloud whispers beside it, dimmer, gentler, as though following an older sibling. These two galaxies may be newcomers, recent arrivals in cosmic terms, and their presence has stirred the Milky Way's outskirts, tugging at the halo, shaping the warp, and sending ripples through the disk. Every companion matters. Every orbit leaves a mark. Even the smallest dwarf galaxies contribute to the story of the local group. The grand arrangement of more than 50 galaxies drifting together through the cosmic sea. As you drift outward, the structure becomes clearer. The Milky Way is one of the two giants. Andromeda is the other. Between them lies empty space, filled only with the faint glow of gas and the pull of shared gravity. Around these giants, dozens of dwarf galaxies gather like quiet satellites. Some orbit closely. Some drift at the edge of the group. Some have been stretched, torn, or dimmed by the gravitational tides of their larger neighbors. It's not a chaotic arrangement. It's a slow-motion ballet, galaxies drifting, circling, approaching, retreating, all held together by gravity that spans millions of light years. And even here, far beyond the Milky Way's edge, the influence of dark matter is unmistakable. Invisible halos surround every galaxy, blending softly into one another, creating a shared envelope, a kind of cosmic neighborhood wrapped in a single gravitational web. If you look upward now, beyond the local group, you begin to sense the presence of something larger, still a pattern too vast to see directly. Galaxies cluster into filaments. Filaments stretch into webs. Webs connect into superclusters. And between them lie enormous voids, regions so empty they feel like cosmic breaths. The local group itself is drifting toward a larger region called the Virgo cluster, drawn by a gravitational pull so faint and slow that it will take billions of years to complete even a small part of the journey. And the entire Virgo cluster, along with thousands of others, is part of something even more immense, the Laniakea supercluster, a continent of galaxies drifting together across a landscape made not of land, but of space-time. Here, in this vastness, the Milky Way feels both tiny and profoundly connected. It is one swirl of light in a universe full of swirls, one breath in a cosmic rhythm stretching far beyond our imagination, one participant in a network of silent interactions shaping the motion of galaxies, clusters, and entire regions of the universe. If you look back toward the Milky Way now, it appears as a glowing disk floating within its faint halo, surrounded by companions, tugged by neighbors, held by invisible forces. It is beautiful, and it is not alone. This chapter of the galaxy's story is not about stars or dust or gas. It is about belonging, the way galaxies gather, influence one another, drift together across the dark, and form structures larger than any single member. The Milky Way is part of a family, a quiet, gravitationally bound community spanning millions of light years. In the next chapter, you will return gently toward the Milky Way's inner regions, reflecting on the place we occupy within this grand arrangement, our position, our perspective, and the quiet truth of being inside something too large to ever see fully. But for now, float here in the cosmic neighborhood, where galaxies drift like lanterns on a vast, dark lake, and even silence has a direction. As you drift slowly back toward the Milky Way, the galaxy no longer looks like a distant structure, a glowing wheel with arms and a halo, but like a living environment you're descending into. The bright outer edge spreads beneath you, The spiral arms curve inward, and somewhere deep inside that luminous swirl is home, our home. From out here, Earth's place in the galaxy is quiet and humble, not in a grand spiral arm, not in a starburst region, not in a dense cluster, but in a gentle lane called the Orion Spur, tucked softly between two of the Milky Way's major arms, the Perseus arm above, the Sagittarius arm below. This spur is neither crowded nor empty. It is the cosmic equivalent of a calm neighborhood, far from the chaos of the galactic downtown. The sun drifts through this region like a golden lantern carried on a slow tide, and Earth, tiny, blue, and fragile, circles the sun in quiet partnership, unaware of the great, spiraling structure it moves within. If you pause here, hovering above the spur, you might notice something comforting. This part of the galaxy is calm, not too many supernova, not too many giant molecular clouds, not too much radiation, just enough richness for planets to form, and just enough peace for life to have time to unfold. A gentle address in a vast cosmic city, and yet motion continues all around. The sun is not stationary. It moves around the galaxy at nearly 230 kilometers per second, completing one full orbit every 225 million years, a galactic year. Since the sun formed, it has only made about 20 trips around the center, 20 years for a star. Every planet in the solar system shares this long, sweeping journey. Every moon, every meteor, every breath of Earth's atmosphere, all circulation through the galaxy like small beads carried along a giant spinning wheel. But the motion isn't just forward. The sun rises above the galactic plane, then sinks gently below it, then rises again, like a ship rocking on a slow, invisible tide. This up and down swaying takes tens of millions of years, a vertical oscillation through the disk that has been happening since before the first forests on Earth took root. Even the stars around the sun are temporary neighbors. The constellation shapes you recognize, Orion, Cassiopeia, Lyra, are just momentary alignments. Stars drift, distances shift, patterns dissolve. Over thousands of years, the sky subtly rearranges itself, revealing new shapes to future eyes. We live inside a sky that is slowly moving. If you drift a little deeper into the spur, you see something else. The Milky Way looks different from within. From Earth, it appears as a glowing river stretched across the night, a soft blur of starlight crossing the darkness. This is because we live inside the disk, looking along its length like standing inside a forest and seeing only trunks and shadows stretching into the distance. We cannot see the spiral we belong to, only the flattened shimmer of its densest regions. It took centuries for astronomers to understand the shape of our own galaxy, to map the arms, the bulge, the warp, all while living within it. We are residents inside a structure too large to fully comprehend. And yet, from here, floating just outside the Orion Spur, you begin to feel something gentle and surprising. Despite its size, the Milky Way makes space for smallness. It cradles the Sunday. It shelters the Earth. It provides a stable orbit in a quiet region where life had time to blossom. Our position is not accidental, but it is humble. We live in a cosmic calm between brighter storms. As you drift slowly through this chapter, the galaxy feels less like an enormous, unreachable thing, and more like a home whose hallways we are only just beginning to understand. A home with structure, history, seasons, and rhythm, and a place for us within it. In the next chapter, you'll descend toward the solar system itself, exploring the sun's deeper story, its chemistry, its orbit, its childhood, and its connection to the galaxy that carries it. But for now, let yourself rest in this quiet lane of stars, at the edge of a spiral arm, in a calm corner of a galaxy turning softly through the night, a small world in a gentle spur, inside a vast, luminous sea. As you drift gently through the calm light of the Orion spur, a single warmth begins to glow in the distance. Not bright like a supernova, not fierce like a massive blue star, just steady, golden, familiar. You are approaching the sun, the quiet lantern that carries Earth around the galaxy. From out here, it looks small, humble, almost shy compared to the towering furnaces scattered across the Milky Way. But don't let its gentleness fool you. This quiet, middle-aged star has a story deeply entwined with the galaxy's structure, rhythm, and memory. A story that began long before Earth existed. The sun was born in a cluster, a cradle of hundreds, maybe thousands of sibling stars forming together inside a molecular cloud. For a time, they drifted close to one another, glowing through the dust of their birth cocoon. But as the cluster unraveled, those siblings scattered across the Milky Way. Most are now lost, distant points of light, wandering the disk on their own long paths. The sun, with its planets and its narrow, glowing bubble of influence, continued onward alone. For 4.6 billion years, it has been orbiting the center of the Milky Way, one long, sweeping journey, one curve around a heart of stars and darkness. And the sun is only partway through its second galactic orbit. Imagine that. All of human history, all of Earth's mountains, oceans, forests, creatures, every civilization, every whisper, every breath, all of it fits inside a tiny fragment of the sun's path through the galaxy. The sun moves at incredible speed, around 230 kilometers every second, but you never feel it. Earth carries you quietly, like a cradle drifting along an ancient river. And as it circles the galactic center, the sun does not move in a perfect plane. It sways, rising gently above the galactic disk, then sinking below it, following a slow oscillation that takes tens of millions of years. This vertical motion, subtle and rhythmic, carries the solar system through regions of greater and lesser density past dust, through thin gas, above faint streams, below gentle ripples in the disk. You're riding a star that sways through a galaxy like a boat on a cosmic tide, and like a traveler crossing a vast continent, the sun passes through neighborhoods that influence its environment. Spiral arms rich with star-forming clouds, quiet lanes between them, regions filled with ancient remnants, and regions washed clean by past supernova. Right now, the sun sits in a peaceful gap, not inside a major spiral arm, not surrounded by chaotic starbirth, but drifting in a calm lane where radiation is moderate and gravitational disturbances are rare. A quiet suburb in a galaxy full of brilliant cities. This peaceful environment may be one of the reasons Earth had time to form oceans, develop life, and sustain the complex ecosystems that eventually led to you. Calmness, on cosmic scales, can be a gift. As you draw nearer to the solar system now, you notice something delicate surrounding it, the heliosphere, a vast bubble sculpted by the solar wind, extending far beyond the planets, acting as a shield that deflects high-energy particles drifting through interstellar space. It is not a wall, more like a glowing breath held out in all directions. This breath interacts with the interstellar medium around it, pushing, bowing, shaping itself like a slow-moving ship, parting a sea of unseen particles. Even here, at the very edge of the sun's influence, the galaxy leaves its imprint. The local interstellar cloud, a warm, thin region of gas, flows past the heliosphere. Cosmic rays sneak through the weakest points. Magnetic fields twist the bubble into subtle asymmetries. The sun is not isolated. It is part of a dynamic environment shaped by forces far larger than itself. And yet, despite all of this, it maintains its steady glow, its quiet heartbeat of fusion, its gentle radiance carried outward to warm the planets. Among those planets is one where something remarkable happened. Chemistry learned to reflect, to feed, to breathe, to dream, and eventually to ask questions about the very star that makes its existence possible. From out here, looking back at the sun, you understand it is not the center of the galaxy. It is not the brightest star. It is not the oldest nor the youngest. But it is enough. Enough to hold 9 worlds, or 8, depending on whom you ask. Enough to guide hundreds of comets. Enough to warm a small blue sphere into life. In the next chapter, you will drift toward that sphere, Earth, and reflect on what it means to live inside a galaxy while rarely noticing it. But for now, rest here beside the sun, glowing softly in the quiet lane of the Milky Way, carrying its planets through a spiral it will never finish. As you drift closer to the sun, a small glimmer of blue begins to rise beneath its golden warmth. Not bright like the star, not large like the galaxy, just gentle. Earth, a world wrapped in oceans and clouds, circling the sun with a kind of effortless grace. From the depths of the Milky Way, Earth is not extraordinary. It is small, faint, and almost invisible against the luminous spray of stars. Yet from up close, it feels like a miracle stitched into the quiet of space. You descend through the heliosphere, past the orbits of the outer planets, past the frozen comets drifting silently in the Kuiper Belt, and finally into the warm cradle of Earth's sunlight. Here, on this tiny world, life learned how to look up. And though Earth is endlessly shaped by the galaxy, its radiation, its tides of cosmic rays, its passage through dust clouds and spiral arms humans rarely notice, the sky appears unchanged. The constellations seem eternal. The Milky Way is a soft band overhead, a forgotten river of light that most people rarely see clearly anymore. Yet every person, every tree, every mountain, every particle of air moves with the sun through the galaxy at breathtaking speed without ever feeling the motion. We are passengers on a drifting world, carried in long spirals through a structure we cannot fully see. Earth sits in a fragile pocket of calm, protected by its magnetic field, shielded by its atmosphere, balanced at a comfortable distance from its star, placed in a quiet suburb of the Milky Way. From here, the galaxy looks peaceful, a glittering backdrop rather than a dynamic system full of gas currents, stellar births, tidal streams, and dark matter halos. But Earth has always been part of this motion. Every atom in your body was forged in old stars. Every breath contains oxygen made by suns that lived and died long before the solar system existed. Every piece of iron in your blood was born in an exploding supernova. You are not separate from the galaxy. You are a continuation of it. If you listen with enough stillness, you may even feel this heritage echoing within you, the quiet memory of stardust arranged into consciousness. Thinking about its origins, here, drifting above the Earth, you begin to notice something else. Our perspective is limited not only by distance, but by scale. Humans evolved on a planet where hills look tall and oceans look endless, but the galaxy stretches across 100,000 light-years. The solar system fits inside a space smaller than a grain of dust compared to the galaxy's size. And a human life fits inside a blink on cosmic timescales. Yet the galaxy does not diminish life. It frames it. Earth's history, all its continents, creatures, storms, and stories happened while the sun drifted less than 1% of the way around the Milky Way. Civilizations rose and fell, while our solar system passed through a barely measurable fraction of its orbit. Every moment lived here is shaped by a star glowing quietly in a stable corner of a restless galaxy. And perhaps that's what makes Earth feel so rare. Its peace is temporary, its conditions delicate, its time brief. But briefness does not mean insignificance. Life is the galaxy expressing itself in a new form. Thought is stardust learning how to ask questions. Curiosity is the Milky Way trying to understand its own origin through the minds it created. You float just above the atmosphere now, where the planet's thin blue line curves gently against the black. Lightning flickers inside distant clouds. City lights glow like scattered stars upon the surface. Oceans reflect the sun in trembling patterns. Nothing here seems connected to the motions of the galaxy, yet everything here depends on them. The elements, the warmth, the orbit, the stability, the time. Earth is a quiet listener in a vast symphony, a place where cosmic history softens into weather, seasons, waves, and breath. In the next chapter, you'll drift back outward once more, not to explore structure or history, but to reflect on meaning, what it feels like to be part of a galaxy so large, to live in a universe so old, and to carry within you the memory of stars. But for now, rest here, above this small blue world, spinning gently beneath your feet, glowing softly under the sun, traveling through a galaxy it will never see fully, yet eternally belongs to. As you float above Earth, the planet turning slowly beneath you, the sky begins to widen again. The thin blue atmosphere fades into a soft black. Stars brighten. The Milky Way returns a shimmering river stretching from one horizon to the other. And now, at this quiet distance, you begin to feel a question rising. Not a scientific one, but a personal one. What does it mean to live inside a galaxy? Not beside it, not beneath it. Inside it, woven into its chemistry, its motion, its long, unfolding story. The first feeling that arrives is wonder, a gentle, expanding wonder. It grows from the realization that everything familiar, the ground, the air, the people you love, exists on a world moving through a structure far larger than anything the human mind evolved to imagine. You live in a home you cannot see, carried through a landscape you rarely notice, but there is no need to feel small. Smallness is not insignificance. In fact, it is the very thing that gives meaning its shape. Earth does not need to be large to matter. Your life does not need to be long to be full. A single thought does not need to contain the galaxy to belong to it. You are a brief, luminous moment inside a vast, ongoing harmony. As you drift higher, the Milky Way grows brighter, forming a gentle arc. You can see the stars of the galactic plane packed tightly together, like grains of light poured into a curved glass bowl. The center glows warmly, hidden behind dust clouds that soften its light into a golden haze. And still, even here, a quiet truth settles in. The galaxy is not watching you, but it made you possible. The elements inside your blood, your bones, your breath, all forged in stars long gone. You carry the history of the galaxy inside your body with every heartbeat. When you breathe out, you return part of that stardust to the atmosphere. When you speak, your voice is made of atoms that once drifted through the Milky Way as interstellar gas. You are not outside the story. You are the story. And yet, another feeling begins to surface. Humility. Not the kind forced by fear or comparison, but the kind that comes from understanding your place in a vast, interconnected system. The Milky Way does not revolve around the Sunday. The sun does not revolve around Earth, and Earth does not revolve around any human desire or dream. But inside this humility is warmth, because meaning here is not about dominance or scale. It is about connection. Connection to the stars that died to make you. Connection to the sun that warms you. Connection to the spiral arm that shelters you. Connection to the galaxy that carries you. Even loneliness fades when seen through this lens. You are a part of something too large to ever be fully alone. As you drift farther outward, the galaxy becomes clearer, not just as a pinwheel of stars, but as a context, a setting for every moment of your life, a place where time stretches so far that even mountains and civilizations look like brief waves of motion. And in that immensity, something gentle happens. The pressure to have everything figured out dissolves. You do not need to know your destination when you are part of a spiral that has been turning for billions of years. You do not need to understand the future when the future stretches for trillions. You do not need to shine constantly when even stars rest, fade, return, and rise again. Meaning is not a destination. It's a feeling carried quietly through moments like this, moments of stillness beneath a wide, cosmic sky. You turn back toward Earth now, watching the planet hanging in its quiet orbit. The people below cannot see you. They continue with their everyday stories, cooking meals, tending gardens, sending messages, listening to music, unaware that above them a galaxy shines with patient light. And yet, every one of them is part of it. Every child looking up at the night sky, every scientist tracing the motion of stars, every poet describing the moon, every person who has ever whispered a wish into darkness, all of them are fragments of a galaxy learning to reflect on itself. In the next chapter, you'll drift toward the edge of the universe's story, thinking not only about the Milky Way, but about time itself, and where galaxies fit into the long arc of cosmic history. But for now, float here in this illuminated stillness, feeling the gentle truth that you belong to a galaxy that has been whispering your ingredients long before you were born. As you hover between Earth and the glowing arc of the Milky Way, another layer of understanding begins to unfold, not about space, but about time. Space shows you where things are. Time shows you what they are becoming. And the Milky Way, like every galaxy, is not a finished picture. It is a process, a long, luminous becoming, stretched across billions of years. You drift backward first, letting time rewind in silence. The spiral arms loosen, the sun retreats into the past, stars unform, clouds gather, streams tighten into small, separate galaxies. And then, slowly, the Milky Way disappears into a universe still learning how to shine. Nearly 14 billion years ago, before stars existed, before galaxies spun into shape, the universe was hot and bright and dense, a sea of particles cooling under its own expansion. Light could not travel far. Everything shimmered in a fog. Then the fog cleared, and the first stars were born enormous, short-lived, brilliant. Their explosions scattered heavy elements into space, seeding the next generation of stars, and the next, and the next. Those early stars lit the path for galaxies to form, including the one you now call home. If you continue drifting backward, you see small proto-galaxies colliding and merging, gathering into a spiral that resembles the Milky Way's earliest outline. Streams of gas flowed inward. Dark matter shaped the structure invisibly, forming the foundation on which the galaxy grew. You see the thick disk forming, the halo assembling, the first globular clusters glowing like lanterns in the early dark. All of this happened before Earth existed, before the sun existed, before the atoms in your body had been forged. Time in the galaxy is long. It is patient. It does not rush. And yet, drifting forward again into the far future, you notice that the galaxy still has much left to do. 1 billion years from now, the sun's light will slowly brighten. 2 billion years later, Earth's oceans may begin to evaporate. Stars will continue to form in quiet pockets of the spiral arms. Old stars will fade into white dwarfs. Clusters will unravel. New streams will arc across the halo. And 4 billion years from now, Andromeda will appear larger in Earth's sky, brighter, nearer. The two great spirals will begin to dance not with collision, but with slow gravitational choreography. Their disks will stretch, their shapes will distort. Stars will be tossed into new orbits. Clouds of gas will collide and form new stars in brilliant bursts. Eventually, the Milky Way and Andromeda will merge into a new galaxy, a gentle, giant elliptical often called Milkomeda. The sun may survive the encounter. Earth may or may not, but the night sky, if seen from any surviving world, will glow with tens of billions more stars. Farther still into the future, star formation will fade. Gas will grow scarce. The galaxy will dim. Most stars will become white dwarfs, glowing cinders of their former brilliance. Over trillions of years, even those cinders will cool. Black holes will dominate the galaxy's mass. Starlight will become rare, and eventually, the galaxy will become dark. Not empty, but quiet. A place where time stretches into a kind of cosmic dusk. Yet the universe is not sad in this ending. It is simply following its rhythm. Creation, brightness, transformation, fading. The same cycle seen in stars, but on a grander scale. As you drift back to the present moment, looking at the Milky Way glowing softly above Earth, you begin to understand something comforting. You live in the universe's bright middle chapter, a time when galaxies shine, stars flourish, worlds exist, and life can wonder. You are here not at the beginning, when light struggled to form, not at the end, when the stars will sleep, but in the luminous era, a golden moment in cosmic time, a moment in which consciousness arose on a small blue world and looked up, curious and soft-hearted, asking questions the stars themselves cannot ask. Time does not diminish you. It places you. It shows you that your life, brief, fragile, beautiful, happens during an age where galaxies glow, stars breathe, and the universe still hums with warmth. In the next chapter, you will drift gently toward the closing reflections, a meditation on wonder, stillness, and the quiet gift of being alive in a galaxy that continues to unfold. But for now, rest here, in this moment of cosmic midlight, a rare window in a universe that is still finding its way from brightness to quiet. As you drift at the edge of the Milky Way's shimmering arms, something inside you feels different, not heavier, not lighter, just quieter. You have traveled through the galaxy's spirals, its halo, its ancient collisions, its dark matter skeleton, its warm nurseries of stars, its deep history, and its immeasurable future. You have crossed 100,000 light years in the gentle rhythm of thought, and now the journey begins to soften. The galaxy turns slowly beneath you, each arm a quiet brushstroke of light across the dark. The dust lanes curl like ink. The star fields shimmer as if breathing. You watch the whole structure rotating with a patience so deep it feels like a lullaby written in starlight. The longer you gaze, the more the Milky Way begins to blur, not because it fades, but because you begin to drift inward into a deeper stillness than space itself. You start to descend through the galaxy's arms one last time, past the clusters where stars were born, past the regions where stars grow old, past the shadows where dust waits to become something more, past the quiet lanes between arms where the sun drifts like a lantern in soft wind. The galaxy feels familiar now, not distant, not overwhelming, just a vast, graceful home. You move through the Orion Spur again, the peaceful neighborhood where Earth lives, tucked safely between brighter corridors of starlight. Here, the constellations appear like old friends, waiting quietly in their places. And as you move downward through this gentle river of stars, you feel the presence of the sun long before you see it. A warm pulse, a steady glow, a reminder of where your story begins each morning. You pass the heliosphere, the outer planets, the belt of drifting ice and dust, and finally the orbit of Earth, a blue circle drawn lovingly around a golden star. Earth rises beneath you again, small and precious, wrapped in clouds and turning slowly in the quiet of space. From up here, no worries exist, no noise, no urgency, no unfinished tasks. Just a world breathing beneath a blanket of atmosphere, carrying forests, oceans, cities, and sleeping people through the night. You drift lower until the galaxy becomes a soft blur above you, a shimmering river stretching from horizon to horizon. The stars steady themselves into familiar constellations again. The night feels warmer, closer, more intimate, and in this gentle view, a final truth settles. The galaxy is not something you leave behind when the journey ends. It is something you carry with you. Every thought formed tonight, every breath softened, every moment of wonder, all of it remains inside you, the way starlight remains in a photograph long after the night has passed. Your body is made of ancient stars. Your mind is shaped by curiosity born in cosmic dust. Your heartbeat is timed by a star that orbits a galactic center you will never see directly, but you belong to it all the same. This journey isn't ending. It is simply quieting. You lie back now, either on your bed or in your imagination, letting your breath deepen, your thoughts slow. The Milky Way arcs silently across the darkness above you, as if keeping watch. You feel yourself drifting into a lighter gravity, a softer pull, a deeper calm, and the universe seems to whisper one last message. You are part of me. You always were. You always will be. As your thoughts settle into silence, the galaxy fades into a gentle blur, like a lamp dimming in a quiet room. The stars soften. The darkness deepens. Your breath becomes slow and rhythmic, matching the quiet pulse of the Milky Way turning somewhere far, far above. And here, in this peaceful darkness, you finally rest. Not alone, not small, but held by a universe that has been unfolding for billions of years and will keep unfolding long after you fall asleep. Drift now. Let go gently. And as you slip into dreams, remember, the universe is still expanding. Softly, as you drift back toward the glowing river of the Milky Way, something shifts inside you, not a movement of the body, but a widening of perception. The galaxy no longer feels like an object you are studying from afar. It feels like a place you belong to, a place that has shaped you in ways you never imagined. Wonder begins here. Not the loud kind that shouts at fireworks, but the soft kind that whispers when you see something vast and understand your connection to it. You float above the spiral arms now, watching their gentle curl, their rivers of stars, their dust lanes drifting like faint shadows. And in this wide view, you begin to sense a quiet truth. The galaxy does not ask to be understood. It simply invites you to notice. Notice the light. Notice the motion. Notice the ancientness of what surrounds you. Notice the delicate way your own mind awakens in its presence. Humans often think of wonder as something external, a response to mountains, oceans, eclipses, galaxies. But wonder is also internal. It arises from a place that recognizes beauty before the mind can explain it. And right now, watching the Milky Way drift beneath you in graceful silence, you feel that recognition settle gently, like dust illuminated by starlight. You begin to drift downward, closer to one of the spiral arms. Stars pass you like fireflies frozen in time. The spaces between them widen and narrow. Some shine fiercely, others hum softly, their light as quiet as a held breath. The more you look, the more you realize how effortless their existence seems. Stars do not strive to illuminate. They simply shine because shining is what they are. And perhaps, in some delicate way, humans do the same illuminating, not with photons, but with curiosity, emotion, connection. The galaxy did not plan your existence, but it made it possible. Here, hovering above billions of suns, you sense just how improbable life is and how astonishingly natural it feels once it begins. The same forces that collapse clouds into stars also shaped Earth into a cradle for oceans, forests, and thinking beings capable of reflection. Life is not separate from the universe. Life is the universe learning how to feel, and wonder is the language it uses to listen to itself. You drift farther across the disk now, entering a region where dust thickens and obscures the light. Even here, beauty persists not in brightness, but in subtlety. Nebulae glow with faint colors, shadows curl in delicate shapes. The absence of light becomes a presence of its own. This darkness, too, is part of the galaxy's beauty, because wonder is not only found in what you can see, it also arises in what you cannot, in the mystery, in the incompleteness, in the quiet acknowledgement that some things are meant to be felt rather than solved. You drift back into the clear view of the spiral arms, the Milky Way stretching like a luminous bridge across the void. And something gentle dawns in your awareness. You are not here to master the galaxy. You are here to witness it, to notice its stillness, to sense its rhythm, to let its vastness soften the noise inside you. You have traveled through the halo, the core, the arms, the invisible forces, the ancient mergers, the cradle of stars, the outskirts, the solar system, the story of Earth, and the arc of cosmic time itself. And now, at this moment in your journey, you understand the purpose of this drift. It is not knowledge alone that quiets the mind. It is perspective. Perspective that stretches your awareness. Perspective that dissolves urgency. Perspective that reminds you how brief and precious each breath is. Here, hovering among the stars, it feels almost impossible to cling to worries that once felt immovable. Each thought becomes lighter. Each feeling becomes softer. Each moment becomes more spacious. The galaxy shows you that stillness is not the absence of motion. It is the presence of awareness. And awareness is the quiet gift you carry home from this journey. In the next and final chapter, you will drift back toward rest, returning gently to the darkness, the quiet, and the slow, deep peace from which sleep rises like a soft tide. But for now, let yourself stay in this place of wonder, where your thoughts float gently and your heart listens quietly to a galaxy that has been shining for billions of years, waiting for someone exactly like you to notice. And if you're still awake, even just a little, thank you for drifting through the galaxy with me tonight. Your presence here means more than you know. If these quiet journeys help your mind settle or make the universe feel a little softer at the end of a long day, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe for more calm explorations like this, slow stories of space, science, and all the gentle mysteries above us. Until next time, sleep deeply and dream kindly. Good night for now.